Welcome back to Ripe Avocados. I'm Ben. This is Sean. Today we are going to do another horror movie. It's Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons. Let's get into it. Hit the music.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day.
So Backrooms is just a complete mindfuck from the mind of 20-year-old Kane Parsons. I mean, this movie, it follows a failed architect turned into a furniture salesman. He owns Captain Clark's and doesn't sell jack shit. He's going through a divorce, has a heavy drinking problem, and to add on top of all that, he encounters this absolutely fucked place called the Backrooms, and he discovers it in the basement of his furniture store, and it's basically this seemingly endless liminal space, which is just like a eerie in-between setting, similar to like an empty mall or a hotel hallway, where you're kind of familiar with the setting, but you also don't really know what the fuck it is. Like, you can't pinpoint it to some specific memory. And Clark just gets it becomes his new vice. He becomes addicted with the whole space, wants to know what's going on, and his therapist is one dial tone away from calling the cops or sending him to an insane asylum, until she gets lured in because Clark ends up trapping himself in there, not on accident, on purpose. He wants to stay there, and when Mary, his therapist, tries to find him, she starts encountering the different entities that live there. And then on top of the whole mind fuck, there's a federally backed private company that is also investigating the back rooms, and they have their own way in. And it's just this whole convoluted storyline that ends with nothing happy. I mean, we don't know. We don't really know what happens to Mary at the end. She's talking to Phil, who is a scientist at Async, the company that's investigating the back rooms as well. And the movie just drops off with this still life version of her trapped in the back rooms as well.
Yeah, that's a good summary. Let's score this before we dive into the analysis here. So, my entertainment score was pretty high here. I went 8.7.
Entertainment for me was I had to debilitate this a lot because coming out it was pretty low, but after trying to read up about it, watching some more YouTube videos, I've settled on a 5.5.
Damn. Okay. So I went 7.5 for characters.
Characters, I went 6.5.
Jeez. I really thought you were going to like this more than that. And we have not talked about this really at all, just preliminary thoughts on the movie, so this is all fresh from the dome. Cinematography, I went 8.6. I thought it was fantastic.
Cinematography, I went high on that. I like the look of this movie. I went with an 8.5 on cinematography.
Okay. Of course, I didn't nerf it here, but we'll obviously get into that. Writing, I went 6.7.
What? Cut the pod. Cut the pod.
I didn't love it, obviously. I didn't love the writing. There's holes in it, obviously, but...
Yeah, writing, I went 6.0.
6.0? Okay. So I guess I'll just start from the top. Why didn't you like this movie? I thought it was really... Well, you go first, and then I'll tell you why I liked it.
I feel like one of my problems with going into movies is, to start off, I have a problem with my screen time. My screen time is abnormally high, so I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Letterboxd. I'm looking up
in
these
the theater?
movies. No.
Oh.
In life.
Okay.
So I'm seeing all the hype around these movies going into it. So for me, just to backtrack, I thought Obsession was going to be like a nothing burger. Went into it, absolutely loved it. With Backrooms, I mean, it's backed by A24. Like I said, the cinematography was nice. The trailer made it look incredible. Of course, I have like a slight understanding around the lore of the Backrooms. So I had high hopes for this movie. After watching it, I came out of it like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, yes, it was visually pleasing, but I didn't get any benefit out of it. I felt like it didn't leave me feeling a different kind of way. It just left me very confused. And I already know someone in the comments is typing away like, you just don't understand the lore.
No, don't worry. I got them. So what about it was? I'm not going to say it wasn't confusing, because it definitely was. There's a lot that you have to interpret on your own. But what part specifically did you find too confusing? And I don't mean that as I'm not trying to knock you. I'm just very curious of which parts you weren't grasping.
I wasn't fully grasping like the Clark entity, the giant pirate version of him, why he was having to kill people, or why he wanted to kill people. I've seen theories that like it was the angry, like temper flaring manifestation of Clark that was the pirate version that was killing people. But like, why did he bleed unlike the others? I didn't understand that. What's the whole deal with Async, that giant company that's like setting up cameras, trying to lure entities with the caveman cutout and the 50 different languages? Also, you hear it go through all the languages, and at the very end of the movie you hear what the English version is, and it's like, hello children of Earth, some shit like that. And it's like, what does that really mean? What's the end state with Mary? Like, we see her being interviewed by the scientist from Async, and then we see that still life version of her down in the back rooms. But like, where is that going? Is it setting it up for a sequel? Probably. But like, I just feel like this movie would have done way better if it was like an HBO Max TV series. Give me a full season, like one hour episodes, really diving into Async as a company, Mark as like a deranged Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother. Just like, I feel like it was a cool premise. It just lacked depth.
I don't agree that it lacked depth at all, but let me try and answer your questions as how I interpreted it. So the last thing you mentioned was Mary's demise. My interpretation of that, and with all of the still life entities there, is how he kind of explains it. And again, this is all my interpretation. There's not a right or wrong answer unless we had Kane Parsons on the podcast, which we don't, like, we could do that. We could set that up if he would want to come on.
We'll send a link, bro. We'll send a link.
I view this always as in the realm of a multiverse. I think Mary does actually get out of here but once she's in the back rooms, they explain that it just makes a carbon copy of you. It just creates these carbon copies of rooms, and a part of her is still in the back rooms, and those tend over time to just bleed into one another, and so a part of her is always going to kind of be there, and it leaves you like this eerie feeling at the end. There's also the interpretation that it's just her there, and that whole conversation she has with the lab scientists, who they just reminded me of any evil, like, scientific corporation just sacrificing human lives for being lab rats. This movie actually really reminded me of Stranger Things in a way.
Yeah, oh, of course. Like the whole upside down backrooms comparison there. Like I understood.
Mm-hmm.
I also got the vibe of like Severance. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Severance does a great job with that whole liminal space, the long white hallways,
Yeah.
like like leading like a maze. You don't know where you're going really, but it all seems very familiar.
I also think that's why it probably won't be an HBO show, but don't quote me on that because I think that's just kind of Severance in a way. At least that's something I wrote down too. I really thought it reminded me of Severance. I actually kind of thought it reminded me a little bit of Arrival, the movie with Amy Adams as well. Especially when we learn about... This is why I think the pirate scene happened the way it did. And this is like the climax part of the movie. It's really... I thought that scene was really weird. And this whole movie is very weird, especially once he gets downstairs and starts interacting with all these still lives and just becoming very comfortable in that space. Honestly, once Mary steps into the realm of the backrooms, I think it's just very chaotic and crazy. And not to mention, I thought this movie really scared the fuck out of me at points. Just all the VHS camera shots in particular did, and how it's all from that one point of view. There's a lot of huffing and puffing. It feels very Blair Witch Project, but I hated how you just didn't know what was right around the corner. But there's a lot of noises and stuff that's freaking you out and whatnot. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so the dinner conversation. To me, I looked this up, so I don't know if this is completely true, but I was curious to why the entity that is filming Clark, or when Clark puts his camera down and he hears Kat, his coworker, through the wall, and then the entity seemingly picks it up and shuts it off, and then it cuts. I was like, why didn't Clark die in that instance? Or I was under the assumption that maybe he did die, and that was just a different version of him. Like it had cloned him, like I said, killed him, but then he has a different version in there that meets Kat, or I'm sorry, Mary later on, and chokes her out. And that scene was creepy, man. I thought it was really effective how
it was super creepy when Clark was just in the corner, just like,
oh yeah.
Yo, I'm right here.
I knew something was up there from the get-go. As soon as he poked around, you're right. I mean, that was really freaky. But all right, so let me finish this point. So when he is telling, or excuse me, when you're at the pool scene and Clark is looking at the wall and he's like, I can't see you, Kat, this and that. What I read online is that the entity is basically studying the human behavior, and that's how it's creating these carbon copies. It sees some office space and it's like, oh, let's make millions more of these and just create all more of an environment. So it's, he used that analogy of it's like someone trying to draw a dog, but he doesn't know what a dog looks like. So things are out of place. You see tables and couches that are half in the floor. They're not even completely level. Everything just looks off place. And that's what makes it so scary and weird to me. But the entity sees him trying to help Kat through this wall or whatever. And it also, I assume, probably sees him try to eat one of these other, still lifes. With like he's showing Mary, like, oh look, you could just like take this thing out. It looks like mashed potatoes, and he's eating it. Or we could just assume that he's the one that actually kills Kat, because you see her severed head in the fridge.
I do believe he killed Kat.
Right, but then that, to me, is why this pirate version of him decides to kill him in that moment. Because
But the pirate version of him kills, like, the async worker at the very beginning of the movie.
I don't know if that's necessarily him, or if that's just the entity, like, less evolved. To me, again, we don't know this. This is all and I think this movie is gonna have a lot of polarizing opinions. I think people are either gonna be really on board of it, or really on board with it, like I am, or or skeptical like you. And there's not a right or wrong answer, but I think 5 years down the road, I could see this being a cult classic type of movie based off of the people that will appreciate it. I just think it's just so original and so weird that I found myself getting pretty attached to it. But again, I think that was learned behavior. And that's why I think Clark was so welcoming to the pirate guy when he came in. And then he just picks him up and it takes a big bite out of him, and then everything goes crazy from there.
So I've seen, like I said,
sense, though, right?
That does in a way. Now I've seen, of course, differing theories about the relationship between 8-foot Clark and Mini Clark.
You know who played 8-foot Clark?
Yeah, Rob Bob, the offspring from Alien Romulus.
Yeah,
dude, Rob
I
Bob.
thought that was funny.
What a great career shift from failed basketball professional to just
Failed.
I mean, the dude, he would have gotten snapped like a twig if he went up against Wemby or someone like that. But he's got a great career in just playing these horrific looking monsters in movies. But the one I saw was, I don't think it's necessarily the entity itself that's creating these still lifes. I think it's the backrooms itself. The back room in itself is this entity that takes memories from people all over the world, and then it's just layer by layer, like stripping the memories apart until it gets to this point where it's something that seems kind of familiar but really isn't at the end of the day. And I think that 8-foot tall version of Pirate Clark is just, I think that manifested through the hate and anger that Clark had while sitting in that furniture store, from all the drinking he does, being a failed architect, his wife telling him to get the fuck out of his own house, and all that bottled up rage just created this entity that is now terrorizing everything and anything in the back rooms below. And I saw, like, I think the reason why he didn't kill Clark is because he is Clark. Like, and I think Clark kind of set that relationship up, but the reason why the 8-foot Clark ended up killing the real Clark at that dinner scene was because he brought Mary in, and Mary finally broke through with Clark. She was like, hey, you don't have to change. This whole time I've been trying to get you to tap into this anger, figure out why you have it, and then work through it. Guess what? You don't have to do that. You can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to change. So when Clark told this angry version of him, where it's like, hey, it's okay. Like, we don't have to blame anyone else now. It's literally just us. Like, we're the reason we're so angry. It's because that's who we are. And then I think 8-foot Clark was like, yeah, you're right, fuck it. I'm going to now take a giant chunk out of... Yeah. Yeah. You're a quesarito right now, and I'm going to take a giant bite out of you.
I saw this similar theory, too. So I don't disagree with you there. That's just my 2 cents on it. Was there is some faction of learned behavior, obviously. It clearly just kills Bobby and the other employee. I think her name's Kat.
Kat, yeah.
Unbeknownst. And again, that would be a huge plot hole in the writing. It's why I didn't give this a crazy writing score, because there's just so much ambiguity here. Like, if that's your theory, and Clark is some raging, what's it called? Like,
alcoholic?
No, well, that.
He's a raging pirate.
It's like his alter ego, right? Or it's a form of his conscious or his subconscious. But then my devil's advocate point of view would be like, all right, well, what about the thousands of, murderers and psychopaths actually that are in the world? Like, wouldn't all of those entities just be roaming this area? And it's really just the only thing they see in there is this this 8 foot tall Clark, and then a few still lifes. One of them is his wife, and then I don't think they even explained who the other guy was who's sitting at the table.
Yeah. And then you had mini Stephen Hawking with a lamp. That was my favorite character the whole time. The second Rob Bob pulls up at the dinner table, he's.
No, yeah. I mean, it was all very weird. Like I mentioned, I just found myself very interested in where this could go, and I just thought the build up to showing all of this stuff and the fact that they made all these just sets was so cool. Like anytime that camera was going through the back rooms, it just seemed like every different room was something different. There was not really any repeats. They would obviously go to that one place to the stop sign, and I wrote down something about this. Like, what do you think?
Pots.
Do you think that was there on purpose? Like it seemed like it was a fence, almost like an invisible fence. Like, don't go past this marker, or you're gonna run into the crazy ass monster. Because remember he crawls up out of it in the first time he's down there.
Yeah.
It's seemingly to get away from that monster. And then it stops chasing him from that point. I don't know.
I mean, if I saw that stop sign, I definitely would have done a quick 180 and turned right back around. But
yeah.
I don't know if it was there on purpose per se. I saw a theory that it was placed right in plain sight for Mary to be like, hey, Mary, don't go looking for Clark. Like, turn the fuck around. But I don't know what the validity around that is.
We're not going to ever know. And that's the whole thing with this movie. It's so ambiguous. Like, there's just going to be so many people that hate this thing or really like it. And we're just on two polar ends of the spectrum. And I don't think this was... I'll say it up front. Like, I don't think this is better than Obsession. I think that'd be a very hot take. I'm sure someone out there thinks that. In terms of scare level...
I don't think it's even close to Obsession, to be completely honest.
I wouldn't say
I will say, I don't hate this movie. I came out of it being like, what the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck did I watch? I was very disappointed. The more I look into it, the more I'm like, wow, there's definitely like a lot of different ways this could go. But like Kane Parsons has a 16-part YouTube series that leads up or gives back lore to this whole Backrooms movie anyway, and it's like, I don't want to go fucking watch all those to understand more. Like, I appreciate a movie that makes me ask questions at the end of it, but there just seemed to be a lot of open-endedness with this one.
There definitely was. I just thought I had a pretty good theory of what actually happened. And I'm under the stance, like I said at the beginning, that Mary has some version of herself that stayed there. They clearly, that scientist team, what's it called, Async, they're not inherently evil. They're just using this for scientific purposes. But again, it just reminded me of Hawkins' lab and the way they treated that initial scientist like a guinea pig too.
Like any mega corporation in any horror movie.
Yeah, Weyland-Yutani.
Like Umbrella Corporation or whatever in Resident Evil. Like all those shady motherfuckers that are just trying to see how far they can push the boundaries of science.
And did you ask like the purpose of them? Did I remember that right in the beginning of this episode?
I wasn't asking about the purpose, but I would have loved to know like more about them. We basically got that they were an MRI company, and then they shifted gears. We saw a quick little snippet. I think it was like the federal government granted Async a giant contract to, like, I would assume, investigate the backrooms and all this shit.
But why?
Well, so here's the thing. I know a little bit about the lore. Apparently, like based on the YouTube lore, Async was investigating the backrooms because they saw it as a solution to overpopulation and storage and all these different things. They can use this endless vast system to house people, to store all these different things, and it's like,
real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
Shit, depending on the price, I'd probably move into the back rooms too. With the housing market nowadays, come on now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could fit a colonial in 5 by 5 square footage. You know, it's crazy. No, I don't know. I just really thought this movie was so interesting, and I would definitely watch it again. I'd probably take a little time before I go see it again.
I would watch it again
shit out of me
when it comes out to streaming, because there are definitely pieces of it that I would want to pause the movie and look at more. There are pieces of it that I didn't even catch in the first watch until I saw a TikTok about it or saw a Reddit thread. Like when Bobby goes down there and he goes down the shaft, he's lowered down by rope, and he's like looking around, and Kat and Clark are like, "What do you see down there?" And he's sifting through the clothes, and he sees the End Apartheid shirt that he was wearing at the beginning of the movie when he was filming Clark doing his little whole pirate commercial. Like that, I didn't catch that the first watch around, but then I saw a clip of it. I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck does that mean? Does that mean time is not linear between present and the back rooms? Like, is there a whole mix going on here? I didn't understand that. Also, when Clark first goes into the back rooms and he enters that one room that has like a hole in the bottom and a little door up on a hill, and he sees like sandals and shoes stuck into the ground with the giant chair on the side. Like those shoes, the black Converse and the flip-flops are the same exact shoes that Kat and Bobby were wearing when they were filming the commercial. And then that chair that's slightly tilted, almost like it's broken, is the chair that broke in the commercial, but it's for the size of Rob Bob. So it's like, what's the correlation there? I don't know.
We won't know this until we get the YouTube series or a sequel. But I'm very just infatuated with the lore of this. I didn't look up any of the Kane Parsons lore before this, but I from what I understand, this is supposed to be a prequel to that 16-part YouTube series. From what I gathered, I don't.
I did not know that.
I haven't watched any of it, or maybe I have that reversed. But I thought I remembered reading that online. But nonetheless, like I just think more explanation about tying these dots together. Like I assume that Clark was the guy that, or the person that went in and moved all of the furniture from the initial room before Mary gets there, because it's placed throughout after the fact. And I'm just assuming that Clark has been in there for a long time doing this. And I also just assume, based on all the science fiction and fantasy stuff or fiction I watch, that time probably lapses way longer in real life than it does in the back rooms. Like time, like you could be in there for what feels like years and it's a couple hours, you know, something like Narnia.
I could definitely see some shit like that happening.
Yeah, and I saw somebody else was a little frustrated that they didn't give more explanation to how Clark became such a guru of the space. They make it seem as though he checks out the back rooms one time, then that next morning he's at his therapist's office, and then by the time he goes back with Bobby and Kat, he's got this entire place mapped out. He's got the door, he's got the blueprint map of it right next to him on the whiteboard. He's got all this stuff set up, and it might have been cooler to see him setting all of those things up and learning it more, because I thought that was the coolest part of the movie. Him just exploring it.
Yeah. No, definitely. And that was like the eeriest, creepiest part of the movie, because you don't know what rooms he's entering. I mean, when he walks into that red Christmas tree room, it's like, what the fuck is this? I would have turned around immediately. Fuck that. With little Stephen Hawking there and his lamp. But no, I definitely think that kind of plays into how time works different in the back rooms versus present day reality. Because, I mean, when he shows up to Mary's office to show her the blueprint that he designed, he's like, yo, you don't lie to me. I look like absolute shit. So maybe like in reality, he spent weeks in the back rooms or whatever the case may be, just mapping this whole place out, when it's only like a few days between when he saw Mary last. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely so many open questions. I mean, one frustrating point for me is why the fuck was Mary moving so slow when getting chased by Rob Bob? That shit was pissing me off.
Well, she twisted her ankle.
Dude, I don't give a shit. You got an 8-foot pirate trying to take a chomp out of you. Fucking move it. She's on the edge, which isn't even like a tight ledge. She's got like 3.5 feet of space, and she's all up against the wall, inching away, and then she goes up the stairs so slowly while Rob Bob is breaking the door down. Fucking pick it up.
No,
pick it up.
It wasn't the best chase I've ever seen on the big screen, I'll say that. But I don't know. I still thought it was scary, definitely. And they're just showing that front camera.
I will say I do appreciate it not being CGI.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what made Rob Bob and Alien Romulus so creepy too. It's the fact that there's someone that
hideous.
looks like this motherfucker. Yes, exactly.
No, we love you, Rob Bob. We're just.
Hey, let's get
around.
Rob Bob on the podcast.
All right,
we'll need like 2 screens for him.
a couple more questions. All right, this one I think is gonna make you slap yourself. But would you have liked this if it was a little longer? It's only an hour 45 runtime, probably an hour 35, 40 with credits.
Like I said, I would have probably appreciated this a lot more if it was a 10 episode season.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I cannot even rule that out, but I just think it's very, very comparable.
Because to be honest, this movie was like an hour 50, I think it was, and not even. And I don't know if an extra 30 minutes would have had me walking out of the theater like, oh, okay, that was fire. Like, I think there's so much open-endedness with this movie that you can't really explain it. That's why I think, like, a season-long series or multiple seasons where they can really dive into the backrooms, dive into async, develop these characters further. Like, I think that would have been really, really dope.
Would you say that this is some of the best detailed set design you've seen in recent memory? For me, it is.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say best, but it's probably up there. I mean, there's a reason why my cinematography score was so high. I thought this movie was extremely visually pleasing. Like, it was... The creepiest part of it was the whole set. I mean, the premise of the backrooms. Just this never-ending maze of areas that you can almost relate to but can't really put your finger on it. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it's, in essence, it's just a large-ass warehouse office space that goes on forever. It's that unknown that's really scary, and it's the claustrophobia you feel that it's only... The hallways are, 15 feet wide or whatever at most, and that's it. And then you're just turning, you don't know what's happening. A lot of the times they're running through here, shaking the camera all over the place, hopping over lazy boy sofas for no reason. There's a sewer system.
Swimming pools, there's like hotel rooms, there's like a suburban family neighborhood.
It definitely will raise your anxiety watching this without really even speaking too. It's just a lot of mouth breathing and going back to Stranger Things, but it's a lot of that, and I was just so freaked out when they were in peril in those situations. But I thought the music and the sound was so good in this movie too. It epitomized it so well. Like, whenever somebody is going into that realm, going through the portal, it was really creepy. The grainy VHS tape footage I thought was creepy. I even thought it was really creepy how when Mary was climbing up those stairs and she opened that little cardboard cutter door or whatever, and it just fell. Like, that freaked me out. I was like, oh, it's not even on a hinge. It just falls.
That freaked you out?
I just thought this whole movie was weird. Like, it was so weird in general, but I loved it. I just thought it was really, really original. But But yeah, I know I'm not going to convince you otherwise. But I mean, again, this is not my favorite movie of the year. I just thought that it was a nice breath of fresh air for me. It's not.
I think
a
for me,
screamo horror.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And hey, one of my favorite genres is just like a psychological mindfuck horror movie or thriller. Like those are my favorite kinds of movies. I think my expectations for this were so high, and I'm also coming off what I feel is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in recent years with Obsession. So it's just like the double whammy effect of that really like set the tone going into this movie and coming out of it.
Kind of weird too. They don't even show you how Kat dies. They leave Bobby's death kind of ambiguous.
He gets slurped up into the wall.
Yeah, but again, that didn't look like the pirate version of Clark, and that's why I just interpret it to be some weird ass entity. It kind of reminded me of. There's some connection I'm not making, but it's kind of that Arrival connection where that alien is trying to learn. I know it's probably been a while since you've seen that movie, but that alien in that movie starts out as just a faceless humanoid. Or that's what it looks like, but it just studies humans over and over, and it eventually develops more features and things like that. And that's just how I interpreted it, but it was creepy nonetheless. But all right, I don't have any more questions. We can call it there if you're good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like there's so many questions about this movie, but my mind can't even.
Well, the ones I wrote
comprehend
down.
them. Yeah. Dude, one of the funniest Letterboxd comments I saw, and I can't remember the user's name, but he said, man, Justin Long would have a field day with that measuring tape down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, Justin Long, oh my God. He would have been calling his Airbnb rep like, dude, you'll never guess how much space I found.
I think he would have been too funny for this movie. I don't think he would have been a good cast for the tone they were going for.
Yeah. No,
but
I think for as short as he was on screen, the characters of Bobby and Kat were like perfect for that. Bobby,
no, they were
like filming the whole. He's the stop sign. He's like pots.
Oh yeah, like that was really dumb.
That was like a perfect little touch. But then they get brutally murdered anyway. So.
Yeah, and they look like they live in LA in 2026, not 1990. But whatever. So that's Backrooms. We gave this a 7.3 out of 10. You can go check out all of our. Yeah, I thought that's a pretty fair movie score. Obviously, I brought it up way more than Sean did, but nonetheless, you can go see all of our movie scores on our website, which is linked in our YouTube bio and our podcast bio. Be sure to subscribe to Ripe Avocados and check us out next week for another episode. Until then, stay safe out there. Peace out.
Deuces.